Hey guys, this is Chesney Hawks here. You are watching My Hammers 11 with the one and only Russ.
Chesney's back. That's when you know times are good. Chesney's back. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe from wherever you end here. You know what to do. Give it a like. Give it that bullshit. You know what I'm talking about. Another My Hammers 11. Done these for a while. God, getting back into them. It's been getting back into them, particularly the international break coming up. I thought we'd get a few booked in and have a good chat with some West Ham fans and some ex-players as well. We should have a couple more ex-players to add to over 100 ex-players on our playlist. Make sure you check it out. But also, obviously, the fans, that's what we want to talk about. And as I said, today I'm really looking forward to it. As Dodgers asked, he's like, how did you know I'm a West Ham fan? I said, well, I sort of keep an eye. I'm a little bit like a detective, a little bit like Columbo when I find out when people are West Ham fans. But we've got Dodge on the channel, Dodge Woodall. You must have seen his podcast, Eventful Lives podcast. Got some great names on. Got some naughty boys on there as well. We've had Colton and various others, but it's really, really good. All like gangsters and I'll get him on and just fucking ask him rather than me do that. There he is. How you doing, Josh?
How you doing, Russ? You well?
I'm well. There I'm trying to talk about the podcast, and you're standing there. I might as well just bring you in. I love Eventful. I love Eventful Lives. I think it's great. I love it. It's really good fun.
Mate. Yeah, mate. It's been going now. We started it in lockdown just for a bit of fun.
Same as me, yeah.
I told my story that went out viral, and all of a sudden I was getting mates on and mates on, and it's just grown into an absolute beast. The last couple of years, you know.
That's exactly what happened with My Hammers 11. It was me on my own. I was like, do you know what? I've had enough of watching whatever Mrs. Russ was watching. It was like, I know, Married in Australia, I don't know, episode 20 or whatever on Netflix or whatever. And I'd had enough of it. So, I started just doing it on my own, and it just grows, isn't it? It just grows. Yeah. And particularly with West Ham, because obviously people love talking about West Ham because particularly during lockdown, there was no football. So, people were happy to share their ideas and things like that. But you've had some naughty geezers on there, haven't we? Yes, I think that's the best way to say it.
I think we've done 168 episodes now.
Wow.
Of anyone who's from the criminal underworld to SAS to international drug smugglers to celebrities to entrepreneurs to Michael Jackson's bodyguard, like just mad stuff. Anyone who's lived an eventful life,
It's really cool. No, I really like it. I really there was one the other week I saw. Oh God, my brain's gone to mush. Dementia, the rugby player. Oh my God, I used to play his position as well.
England rugby player.
Yeah, amazing,
sad.
Amazing. Very sad, isn't it?
Very sad. Yeah. Lovely human being.
That's the thing, a lot of these. Yeah, I mean, it's like obviously we interview loads of ex-football players as well, and they're all lovely people. I haven't had one arse of an interview, to be honest. They've all been. No, I haven't had one.
Oh,
really.
Haven't? All right, fair play.
Not really. I'm not really thinking about it.
There, Russ.
A few people are a little bit spikier, maybe, and you think, okay, but I'm sure people, if they've watched the back catalogue, will probably see the slightly spikier ones, but no one I've gone away, oh, he's a cock. No, not at all. I think, they've all been quite nice blokes. As we said, Detective Columbo over here found out you being a West Ham fan. I mean, this season, how are you? Are you enjoying? Are you people who's enjoying this season, or are you the football's not very good? I don't really like the football at the moment.
No, mate, I'm a massive optimist. I love West Ham through and through, mate. I love this season. Loving this season.
Yeah,
amazing. The football they're playing, being in Europe the other night, watching them play, stand out against the Germans, 2-1 away. Like, it's a solid team. Everyone looking over the years, as you know, as a West Ham fan, over the last 40 odd years, it's been tough times, a lot of tough times. You just deal with it. Yeah. I feel like we're coming through some beautiful times right now, and there was always like a lack of depth in our squad. Like if you have good players on the pitch, a few players coming off the bench thinking, it's weaker. But I just think our squad has got stronger and stronger and stronger over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and no one wanted Declan to leave. And I think he left in the most beautiful way, not just by winning the cup, but just the way he conducted himself off the pitch, on the pitch, respect for the fans at every moment, even to receiving an email off him going out to all the database at West Ham with his own words, a long written email the day before he signed for Arsenal. Just like there was touches everywhere, and I just thought massive respect to you, you know.
Well, I suppose looking back at it now, it's I think hindsight is always a great thing, and it seems from my learned position, from where it seems this season we seem to have a bit of a more of a team, I think, than we had last year. Yes, we had players last year, but this season, as you said, we've spent the money, I think, very, very well. Unlike other clubs when they sell players, like Spurs and the bail money and shit like that. And it just seems that we've got this side together. I mean, there's a stat which is going around at the moment, which obviously scoring for the in the German game, in the Freiburg game, that was the first time since 1968-69 we've scored in our first 10 games in the season. That's mental. You've got to think all the players we've had in that time. And we haven't scored, I think actually but then 2 seasons before that, in 64-65, they scored the first 24. So, but it doesn't matter about that. It's just, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. As you said, Europe 3 years in a row, first time ever in our history as well. It's just a really good time to become a West Ham fan at the moment.
Absolutely.
Same as like a Newcastle fan, obviously we're playing Newcastle at the weekend. They're loving life as well. And I think it's
under Eddie Howe.
Yeah, exactly.
Eddie Howe, mate. Like I live down in Bournemouth.
Yes.
So we go to the Bournemouth games. Obviously, Eddie Howe down here, Harry's down here, and So we go to the Bournemouth games and watch all that. What Eddie Howe did at Bournemouth was outrageous.
Yeah,
like outrageous. And what a signing for Newcastle. I've got some good Geordie mates. They're like, "Are you sure Eddie Howe's going to be big enough?" I said, "Trust me, he's phenomenal. He'll get work rate." I don't know if you saw the other night when Newcastle played the other night. Did you see the work rate off the ball?
That's amazing.
Mate,
I mean,
that's worth $1 million in itself just for the work rate that Eddie gives. He gets his players fired up to work their plums off for the team and for the fans. And it made me thinking all those years Mike Ashley had blocked that club from growth. Now he's out the way. Look at the growth what's happened. Not just because they've got the Arab money coming in, not just because of all of that. It's because they got the right infrastructure in place. Even seeing Shearer on telly zoomed into him the other day with a massive grin on his face, and it was a delight to see. It felt like the whole club had come together.
It was a bit reminiscent of last season when the club gets on Zoom, when obviously we won the Europa Conference League, and just Mark Noble. And not just Mark Noble, but there's boys there as there's guys like Mark Phillips who's basically West Ham through and through, but he was like, he's the under-18 coach, and he travels home and away, and he was on the pitch, and that's what it's for. Then you saw like 100,000 or whatever it was at Stratford as well. And yeah, it's that's the first time I've seen. I was born in 80, so I didn't see nothing. I bought 81 rather, so I didn't see anything. Us win anything really. So it was still. I still really don't know how you act when you won something.
It's the first thing I've seen us win.
Yeah,
it's the first thing I've seen us win as an adult, as a remembering anything.
Yeah,
all those years of pain and getting relegated and up and down and relegated and always. It was a lot of pain. There was a lot of love and a lot of fun, but there was a lot of tough times as well. To see us be in Europe for 3 years, and you know what I've got to say, I've always backed David Moyes from the start. I think he's brilliant. He's stabilised the club, and what he's done for the club has been nothing but remarkable. To give us that stability. Rather, it'd been easy to Sullivan to go, right, get rid of him, bring a new one in, bring a foreign manager in, and he don't last the season. Then we're just fanning about back and forward, not finding the right person. We've got someone who's proven track record at Everton, which is, is an old school club.
Yeah.
I think he's great. And having Mark Noble retire is a real positive, I think. A real positive off the pitch. Having him is doing what he's doing now, bonding that team. Still a player, but he's obviously looking after players. But obviously that beautiful link between the players and the chairman and the manager and everything else. I think it's just perfect. And the signings we've done this season, Mark Noble have had a huge play in that.
He has, and also not just Mark Noble, but you're thinking someone like Tim Steindon having the whole sort of technical director. It's a new West Ham, and I think it's a new. I think that is exciting for us. It is. I just been. I mean, although the West Ham and me is still thinking, you know, until we knock that 40 points off, you know, it's like even now I'm like, oh, that's great. We've got 13, still 27 points to go.
Mate, I'll take 13 points at this start of this, like now. Outrageous.
Compared to last time, particularly when you had like, you know, this time last year we had 4 points on the board. So
I'm going into the games now, excited about every game because of the players on the pitch, the players that he's bought. Kudus coming in, Ward-Prowse, Alvarez. Do you know what I mean? All these players, Bowen on fire, like ridiculous. Like it's a delight to watch. It really is.
It really is.
Rate. And do you know where it all stems from? It stems from the atmosphere and the culture of the training ground, and everyone bonding. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it stems from. And you can see the players working their nuts off for each other, wanting to do well, and that's the difference.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, I work at the club, so you know, for the last, well, this is my 23rd season, but you know, the last sort of the first bit of the Moyes second sort of period, they did something which I've never seen before. They literally would walk around the pitch because it was during COVID, so they'd walk around the pitch pre-match. And obviously Moyes, you know, they didn't really do it last year until the last sort of couple of months. This is obviously before anyone, all the fans come in. They've done it. They're starting doing it now, and you just see him jostling, taking the piss out of each other, having a giggle, and it's what we want. Nice. We want that. We want that, man.
Well, it's a knock on. It's a knock on for us lot.
Yeah, exactly.
We're seeing that. We're more jovial. We're more jovial in the stands, and we're taking the piss and having more fun and getting behind the team and being part of it, rather than any negativity, like going, oh, he's on too much money. He does sweet FA. He don't work his plums off. He don't work up. Take the negativity away from it. It's a nice place.
It is a nice. It can be, and you look forward to going to football. I think there was periods, definitely last year, where people weren't looking forward to going to the games, and now they can. So look, it's we'll see. What will be, but we're in a very good position, and a lot rosier than we were last year. Right. So Dodge, as you said, you know, the first, you know, obviously last year was the first time you've seen something in your sort of memorable life in terms of seeing us win something. Why West Ham though? Why are you a Hammer?
Why West Ham? All my family, my granddad, my great granddad, all East London, and they had off licenses in the 50s outside Upton Park.
Brilliant.
And that's where they were. Then my old man grew up there, and he grew up in East London, and then he moved over to Southwest London, and that's where I grew up. So we're all West Ham fans. Even as a kid, I've got photos in there of my nan knitting me the West Ham little kit at that age. Everything's been West Ham. From every minute of every second to every rucksack to school, everything been West Ham. But when we moved to Southwest London, everyone was Chelsea.
Yeah.
So like all us lot, and my old man had a boozer. He had pubs. I lived above pubs all my life, from a young kid all the way up. And he would move about, and that's how it was. And it was really good times. And we lived next to a nightclub on the River Thames there. And we lived above the boozer, and everyone would come out the club at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and there would be tear-ups, or be screaming and shouting, or be singing, or whatever would be going on. And we had 2 Alsatians and a Doberman, and they'd be barking, going mad, and that would wake up the monkey. We had a pet monkey above the flat as well, and that would wake up the cockatoo. And that would wake up the budgerigars. So imagine a 2-bed flat above a pub with a monkey with a cockatoo. And the cockatoo was called Bubbles. And the cockatoo, when it woke up at 5 in the morning, would be squawking, "I'm forever playing Bubbles. I'm forever playing Bubbles." It would just wake us all up. So the actual sleep deprivation as a kid was there wasn't much sleep going on, you know. But yeah, mate, that's where it all come from. And we're all proper West Ham fans. And we've obviously, as we've grown older now, we've all moved down to Bournemouth.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's really nice. But I've had some great times at Upton Park over the years.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, and obviously, you've got a young boy, haven't you? If I remember. Yeah. So obviously now for him, it'll all be about the London Stadium, won't it? Same as my daughter. She, although I made sure that she went to Upton Park, but she was only probably 2 or 3 at the time. She doesn't remember that, but I remember that. But it's always been about the London Stadium, and I think that's always been the issue. You know, I think there's a lot of people have Upton Park through their veins, and you know, I still miss it, but you know, it's now it's London Stadium, and I think obviously there was a little bit of, particularly when the team weren't performing, it was always the stadium's fault. It's like, well, I remember some really shit times at Upton Park, but people forget about that as well. But as you said, when it was something special about that place, wasn't it? It was a special place. As you said, obviously, I mean, I can still close my eyes and still smell the onions. I can smell the whole shit. Cut grass. It's true, isn't it?
Ken's calf for a bacon
Ken's
sandwich
calf.
before the game.
Bless Ken's. Yeah.
You know what? Upton Park has got so many wonderful memories. Obviously, we all talk about it as West Ham fans, under the lights on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. It cannot be beaten.
No.
And I know we may look with like rose-tinted glasses sometimes, but was it? I think it was phenomenal. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And when I took my boy and my old man to London Stadium when it first opened, I was absolutely gutted. Before we went there, I was excited. I was like, God, fancy shops, Nando's before, lovely walks in the Olympic Stadium. I got in there, I thought, fuck, what?
Yeah.
And it was silent. I thought, this is a nightmare. And it was toxic as well. And I've never seen West Ham fans fighting with West Ham fans in a stadium or in a match before. There was just pure frustration and toxicity where it stemmed from, apparently we all voted, or there was a massive vote on a poll that we wanted to leave Upton Park. And I think that infuriated a lot of people.
It was a strange time, wasn't it? That sort of initial period, because it was, I think, when it was. I mean, for me, again, working in the club, Upton Park, bless it, was falling apart. It was falling apart. So it's like, well, you either got to spend a shitload of money in getting this sorted, or there's this shiny new thing down the road where you pay 2 million quid a year or something ridiculous for that. And obviously a business perspective, like, okay, yeah, I think it's starting to feel a little bit more, as I said, it's 6 years now, 6 or 7 years. There's definitely, I mean, we talk about the European nights. That Sevilla game was incredible. There's Liverpool, a couple of, there's Chelsea games, and I think actually COVID probably helped out a lot of people, because they were like sick of going to West Ham, and for like the best part of a year and a bit, they couldn't go, and then they're all desperate to go back again. So it was sort of like, we'll take anything, even if it is the London Stadium.
I get it, and you know what? I do understand why David Gold, Sullivan, and Karen Brady made that decision. I totally get it. It's a pure business decision. It's the right business decision, paying 40 grand a week rent in a 60,000 plus capacity stadium where you've got naming rights, you've got everything, you've got the facilities, you've got the changing room, you've got a lovely experience before you go to the game. But it was a massive shock if you're an old school West Ham fan, and we ain't an American, we ain't going into Miami to watch a basketball match, we're going to watch West Ham. And when you first get there, have an hot dog and a big pot of popcorn, I thought, what's going on here? This didn't sit comfortably with me, I get it. I get it. And you know what? I've give respect to Gold. I like David Gold and Karen Brady and David Sullivan for what they've done, because they did say, if we move to the London Stadium, we'll be playing European football. They promised that. And people seem to forget that. I think Karen Brady mentioned those words. So I've got to take my hat off to her,
Yeah, it's true.
But I've got to give full respect,
And people forget it would have been our stadium if it wasn't for fucking Barry Hearn and Daniel Levy. So it doesn't matter about that. People forget about, it was all ours until they kicked off, and then we became tenants rather than.
Barry was only doing it for a bit of fun.
Of course he was.
I'm mates with Barry, and we speak about it a lot, and he was just doing it for a bit of fun. He's a wealthy human. He's a great bloke. He's a proper entrepreneur. He's got a load of dough. He's protecting his club.
Of course he was.
He wants a piece of the action. Yeah.
We would have done the same thing. We would have done the same thing. And so, maybe not Daniel Levy, but I think, Barry, you're totally right. We would have done exactly the same thing to protect our club, our investment, that type of thing. I mean, as I said,
he said to me, I said, Baz, how much you spend on that? I think he spent £1 million on lawyers.
Jeez.
You've got deep pockets, and you've got a pound note if you're prepared to drop $1 million trying to get into that club, knowing that $1 million could turn into a lot more million, So it's business.
So it's about, I mean, that's the thing with the, I mean, I always used to have a thing with the O's, because they used to do season tickets for under 16s for a tenner. And it was always home and
Where?
Brisbane Road. Brisbane Road
Oh,
used
Brisbane.
to be.
I was going to say,
Yeah. It used to be so, and home and away. So West Ham was always home, and Orient would play away. So obviously the away games, I was too young to go to the away games, but I wasn't young. But I was old enough to jump on the train from Loughton to Leighton. So it was like it worked really well. So it was great fun. Tenner. Used some great players there. Great players. Glenn Cockrell. God, dear. Remember them beating Scunthorpe 8-0, me saying, no, Doncaster 8-0, me saying at half time that, at the beginning of the game, I think it's going to be a 0-0, and they won 8-0. Anyway, great days.
Barry, Barry took on, I had him on my podcast the other week. He took on Harry Kane on loan.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Or he did. Yeah.
Tottenham. Harry Redknapp was the manager at the time. And Barry phoned Harry and said, look, can I take him on? He went, yeah, go on, take him on. And they took him on. They did a couple of trials and stuff. And Barry was like, mate, he ain't going to make it to the top. He ain't going to be a proper big player. Look at him now.
Isn't he still sponsoring Orient? Because he was sponsoring Orient for a while, Harry Kane was.
Harry Kane was?
He was definitely sponsoring Orient. He was definitely sponsoring Orient. He was their shirt sponsor. Definitely.
Was he an Orient fan?
No. But I'm not Harry Kane, Leighton Orient sponsor. He's the second on Google. Returns. The club is denied to return. Well, 2012, June 2012. He was sponsored for up to 3 seats. I think basically he paid it for they had like a mental health charity on their shirts, and he paid the money so they could
go on the show.
Promote it. Yes, it didn't say Harry Kane.
I was going to say Harry Kane, number 9.
Big picture. Big picture. Love it. No, yeah, he did. Fair play to him. And he's banging him for what's name? Banging him for Munich at the moment, isn't he? Right. So as I said, lots of memories at Upton Park and stuff like that. For yourselves, if yourself particularly, does any games sort of stick in your head that you remember? It's like close your eyes and you're straight back at that game.
Yeah.
Go on in.
Yeah. 2016. David Gold got me 2 tickets. I took my old man, and we were at the last game of the season at Upton Park against Man United. There must have been 100,000 people on the streets.
Yeah.
No old bill about. United bus trying to get through the crowd. West Ham fans throwing bottles at it, smashed windows. All the players were on the floor. There was no old bill about whatsoever. And the game got postponed, I think, an hour or so.
Yeah.
It was a really good vibe, apart from the bottles and whatever, but it was a proper good party atmosphere. And obviously, going on to win that game against United, there was a lot of grown men crying. It was an emotional evening. We were extremely lucky. We were right on the in the main stand, right on the halfway line, where all the old players were.
Yes, yeah.
And it was like looking around, like nostalgia scene. I used to watch all these legends playing, and they're all at the last game under the light. It was that's the one that sticks out. If you go, remember Upton Park? What is it? I go that.
I mean that was I mean that game was special, wasn't it? I mean I remember. I mean it was. It's one of when I remember so vividly. It was I was actually on jury service that week. I remember it specifically. I was on jury service that week, and my case, the case I was on, got postponed to the afternoon. So I drove up in the morning. Like first thing I thought, if I park my car in my usual spot, there'd be no fucker there. No one would put their bins out like they always used to put the bins out, so you couldn't park down the road. My granddad always used to hate and move them, but and I got there really early, had my pass, and I just thought, I'm gonna have a quick wander around, the stadium. Like my chance to say goodbye, because by the time I turn up, there'll be 35,000. There'll be, as you said, 70,000 outside, and I was the only one there. And Upton Park was great. You could just walk in. You could literally just walk into Upton Park. Not like London Stadium. You have to. I've got 3 accreditations to get in. You used to walk in, and I thought, there's no one here. So I thought I'll go and sit where I used to sit with my granddad, where I first sat. Then sat where we had our season ticket. I went and had a wee in the changing room. I don't know why I went for a wee in the changing room, but I just thought I'd do that.
Better than having a Tom Tit in the changing room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was in the opposition one. No wonder they looked a bit miffed when they went in there. I had to carry the night before, and it was just amazing because there was no one there, and it was like so quiet. And so I had that was my time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And then obviously when I came back, obviously it's craziness, and we had things delayed, and I had the council on the phone because we couldn't do the fireworks because it all been postponed and stopped for an hour. We meant to have the fireworks at the end of the night, but we couldn't because it had been past 10:30, so the council wouldn't let us. So we had to let them off like straight away at the end of the game. It was like just a real. Then Billy Bonds couldn't turn up because he couldn't get through the traffic, so we had an empty taxi, and it was just a really chaotic day. It was such a West Ham day. Having done it for many years, it was a typical West Ham day where everything could go wrong, went wrong. But apart from the pitch, as you said, it was an amazing day. And as you said, legends, and obviously a lot of players you've watched play, and that's the whole idea of my Hammers 11. So the idea being is you put together your 11 from the players you've seen. So as I said, we've had as I said over 100 ex-players. We've probably had a couple of hundred fans as well. And it's really interesting to see because obviously it's not like you pick your best 11. Pick your West Ham best 11 because everyone put Bobby Moore in. I never saw Bobby Moore play, so he doesn't go in my side. I never saw Billy Bonds play. Doesn't go in my side. So I haven't had Bobby Moore. I had Roger Johnson. I didn't have Roger Johnson, but literally that's who I could have had in my side. So that's what we're going to do because I think it's really interesting. As you said, long time you've been a West Ham fan. So a lot of players have been and gone. And some have come back as well. Yeah. Let's start that right. Okay. In goal, who would be in goal for the Dodge Hammers 11?
I would normally choose like this. For me, this was either Phil Parkes, or Ludek McCloskey, and they're both brilliant
and very different as well.
And very different. And my head says Ludek McCloskey, my heart says Phil Parkes. That's where I'm at with it out of those two. But I love, Ludo McCloskey had 300 games for us as well.
He did. Played a hell of a lot of games.
A hell of a lot of games. And I don't know if I'm just trying to be too old school here by going Phil Parkes or Ludo McCloskey, but they're very, very close for me. I probably, if you put a gun to my head now, I love Phil Parkes, but I'd probably go Ludek McCloskey right now. Just because of the songs, just because of the atmosphere that he created, just because all the fans loved him and we had the songs about him, and it brought more atmosphere to the game. But Phil Parkes was unbelievable as well.
He was.
Yeah.
But I think also, Dodge, I think what's quite interesting is when you talk about players and you talk about people's favourite players, it's a bit like people's favourite music. Someone said to me once that your favourite music is the type of music you listen to when you was a teenager. And I didn't really believe that until I started thinking about it. I think it's the same with football players. Yes, I've probably seen better players, but for me, my midfield, I can't remember, but I mean, for me, I still get starstruck when I see John Moncur. I still start when I see Ian Bishop, when I see these type of players. Right. Yes, I see Brian Deere, who he won the European Cup. I see him every game, but when I see Moncur, I'm still a little bit tongue tied. Yeah. And that's because that was me. That was my era. And I mean, Ludo's incredible. We've obviously such a lovely guy as well. And loads of ex-players. Obviously, he was so quiet and he was like the modern day goalkeeper. Where Phil Parkes was just a big lad,
big lump.
He was athletic, wasn't he, Ludo? Yeah. And a lovely man and very, very quiet. And I think it was either Bish or Macca. Spoke about the first time they took Ludo to it was their first Christmas party, and they said to him, "Where's your fancy dress?" And he went, "What? We dress up." And everyone else had brought fancy dress out. He was like, "Oh!" So they had to they all got in a limo, drove down to because they were going to some up in London. They drove down to the nearest fancy dress shop. All they had available was a sailor's suit, a little boy's sailor in like a medium. And obviously Ludo, and he was like, "I've got to go." He says, "I haven't told my wife." So he literally, so he's changed into his sailor's outfit, and he's had to go back to Ludo, go back to his wife to tell him he wasn't coming home. So it's like, I fucking love it. But his personality, and it's like, and that's what I get when you interview particularly ex-players, of a certain age. I think probably the last one would probably be about someone like Carlton Cole or Ginge, and they all have personality, and you go and listen to them and listen to the same stories that they say. The stories don't change, but you still go and listen to them. And you get it with Harry as well. I mean, Harry tells stories like days, doesn't he? So it's I
can sit with Harry for days. We play a lot of golf together down here anyway, and obviously I'm the co-host of the Harry Redknapp show with him as well. So we've had some right laughs, but he is non-stop stories.
Oh,
mate, honestly, like you could be
brilliant.
with him 3 years every single day, it'd be a different story.
Yeah,
different story, something different, some other little thing that he pulls out the bag.
Although to be honest, he never remembers who he's playing golf with, though. I remember.
Does he repeat?
The amount of times we've had him on before, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do Tuesday, Russell." And you can't do Tuesday. You're playing golf with Tony Pulis. You told me that last week. Oh shit! Yes, right.
We're all members of the same club, in fact. We are Pulis.
Oh, brilliant! Love it. I love it. Right. Okay. So Ludo's in goal. Ludo's in goal. Who's going to be left back? Let's keep 4-4-2. Yeah.
Julian Dix.
What a man.
Simple. That was the easiest one for me.
It's just again, if anyone epitomised.
It was funny when I was growing up, like watching him. You'd think he'd be like a proper East Londoner, lunatic, ag. He was ag. Then he spoke with a Bristolian accent.
Bizarre, isn't he?
And I didn't grow up. I've never understood. I never knew a Bristol accent as you're a kid. And all of a sudden, you've got this accent coming out. It just didn't match his sort of kind of his look,
It's such a funny accent. I remember when we had him on, this was a while ago. First time we had him on, he'd just been sacked by West Brom. So he was in Birmingham packing all his stuff up. So he's like,
he's a proper good golfer, right?
Great golfer. Played after he retired. He played on the European tour, didn't he? Yeah. Top man.
Mate, imagine you wouldn't want to be around him if he's slicing it and hooking it everywhere, would you?
If he's having a bad game, isn't he? He's having a bad game. You just let him have a bad game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Julian. You play through. You play through, son. You play through. Don't worry. Yeah, be not like a footer. He'll have a 4. Yeah, it's a gimme. Go on. Yes.
Gimme, have it.
Yeah, have it. It's yours, mate. Right, I put Julian in. Yeah, even with a bullet, no worries at all. Right back. Who would be right back for you?
Another easy one for me was Ray Stewart.
Oh yeah, Tonka, big fan of Tonka.
Because again, you got 2 penalty takers. They'll have a tear up who's taking the penalty out of those 2. But again, I grew up with him, and it was good memories watching Ray Stewart play.
Yeah,
another good one, and also the Avco Trust kit as well.
Yeah.
I've got all the West Ham shirts in my room here, all framed up, and that's one of my favourite shirts, the old Avco Trust ones.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
It's a nice memory, isn't it?
And you know what? He's genuinely one of the most lovely men I know. Like one of the because obviously he's sort of this year he's become we call them the club ambassadors. So when you lot are playing, all the posh seats and the ex plays. So and he started to do a little bit more of it, and he hasn't done it before really, like a lot. And he started to do it, and bless him. He'll always come up and have a chat.
Where does he live? Do you live in London?
No, he's up in Scotland. So he comes
down again.
Yes, and his wife's getting a bit pissed off because he keeps coming down because we obviously have so many games. Because West Ham, it seems you have 3 or 4 games like boom, 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 and we don't have anything for 3 weeks. And so his wife gets used to him being there, and then he's off for 3 weeks. Yeah. But he's lovely. So much so, the other day, someone asked for an autograph, and they said, "Oh, I haven't got a pen," and he actually had his own pen. And I thought, you know what, the class, and that's someone who's Scottish, and he's Scottish. And he's bought his own pen.
Was it a big one? Yeah, was it one from the bookies? The little
yeah. It was one of those Argos ones, wasn't it? An IKEA pencil. He's got a whole bunch of them. Bless him. Top man, lovely man, right? Okay, centre half. Who's your first centre half then?
Centre half for me, first one. I'll go Alvin Martin.
Yeah.
Again, good memories. 600 odd appearances for West Ham. Again, as growing up as a kid, I couldn't understand a big meathead centre half, and he would speak with a Scouse accent.
Yeah.
remember that still sticks in my memory. Remember, like when you said come on to the podcast, I was thinking, God, I remember these memories flying back to me now. Another accent, but he was West Ham through and through, and he was just the governor. I really can't remember that kit as well, the old pony one.
That was a shocking kick. It's like we've had people like do you remember little Michael Hughes? We had Mickey Hughes on once.
He was tiny and a massive baggy kit.
Yeah, and he had that, and he says when it was wet, it was like the worst kit in the world, absolutely worst kit in the world. But yeah, that was obviously towards Alvin's time, but yeah, lovely man, and what I love about someone like Alvin, I call him an adopted Cockney. He still lives around. I mean, I live in Hornchurch. He still lives around here, and you see him. Yeah, you still see him randomly, in the, I don't know, at the co-op or at the Kinnear Park station or whatever, coming back from Talk Sport or stuff. And my daughter's moved to secondary school now, but his son was in the same year as my daughter or his grandson was the same year as my daughter's old senior primary school. So he would like do the school run, which is always a bizarre thing to see. Alvin Martin, who's that? That's Alvin Martin. No, he's the second most appearances for West Ham ever. No, actually, amazing man. Love him.
I've got to think of it. 600 appearances.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I suppose you think now it's in theory. Now you're thinking because there's so many games in the Premier League and there's so many games in Europe and Carabao Cup, and there just seems to be a hell of a lot of games there. You think players now could rack up lots more. I mean, as you said, number 41, he left with 200 something appearances. So
45, I think, Dick.
In a relatively short amount of time, really. So if he hadn't moved to to North London, then he could have easily surpassed Billy's number. Really, realistically, thinking about it. I mean, Mark had 500 and something, didn't he? So, and didn't really break into the side really until sort of season 5 or 6 into his 18 years. So it's crazy to see that. So who's Alvin going to partner?
I don't want to go with the obvious one, but there's massive respect there. So I want to mention obviously Bobby Moore, but he was kind of before my time. I'm only going on history. Do you know what I mean? Like
Definitely.
Your granddad and your great granddad and your dad talking about Bobby Moore, and obviously what he achieved was unbelievable. And Harry speaks very highly of him. What a proper gentleman and kind human being, and respectful, and all the things you probably look for in what you want your son to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like that. So I'm not going to choose Bobby. I just wanted to respect there. Billy Bonds, unbelievable, but he was a little bit before my time again.
Yeah,
just on the cusp. I know, but I wanted to give that respect, like 799 or 800 or whatever it was appearances, which is just ridiculous.
Crazy.
And then he become a legend West Ham manager on top of that. So you would obviously put those boys in there, but I'm going to go for a bit of a curveball now. I'm going to probably go for Rio.
Yeah, top man.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Rio just for a number of reasons. Just the way I just think the way he's conducted himself as a professional footballer on and off the pitch over all the years, the career he's done, he's kept himself in good nick, he stayed focused, he's disciplined, he's eaten well, he's trained hard. Now, I had a fellow on the podcast the other day, Stephen Corker, Liverpool and
Celtic as well.
Liverpool and England. And I was like, when you went to QPR, when Rio went there, I said, what was he like? He went, he's the most professional football I've ever come across. He taught me so much, being on time, disciplined, And I just thought, what a lovely thing for a professional footballer to talk about another professional footballer like that. So I think for me, obviously, he had a great opportunity again to Leeds, and we got a load of dough for it. So it was kind of a win-win. But I'd probably put Rio in there. I know he didn't have tons of games for us. I think he had 100 plus games, I think.
It's enough for some people. It's enough, and also again in terms of generational thing. As I said, I think Rio was in mine, my 11. But it's quite because I think it's quite nice having him and Alvin Martin together, because if I remember correctly, I think Rio's debut was coming on for Alvin Martin. I think
is that right?
Something like it's something like that. It's in the back of my head. Like Alvin Martin might be don't think it's his last game, but one of the last games, and it was and he came on for Rio. And I remember because I think the first thing Rio did was, because we were told about this ball playing centre half, the Beret said. I think the first thing Rio did was hoof it into the stand or something like that. And then I was like, here we go, once again. But yeah. And again, fantastic career. Okay. Nice back four, nice goalkeeper. Well, let's go into the midfield. Let's start with the left wing. Who's you have on the left wing?
I'd probably whack Joey Cole in there.
Oh, legend.
Yeah, I'd probably whack him in there, and I think he had 100 odd appearances for West Ham.
Well, actually, he had about 200, I think, by the end.
Oh,
of
in
it.
the end,
no, about 186, I think, or something.
Was that including the second stint?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I like everything about that human being.
Yeah.
Even now when he's commentating, I just like him as a person. And again, I can only go on the stories that people tell me about, like the youngest, most talented kid anyone's ever seen coming through the ranks. You know,
just a brilliant player. He's just, and he seemed, and again, yeah, you said the commentary. The fact was, as I said, him and Colton basically going through our European, because obviously they're both of them, do what was BT and they do the TNT sports stuff. And, as I've always said, and I've said to Colton many times, if they ever think about remaking the film Twins, it's got to be you and Joe. It's got to be you and Joe. And I love him as a two. And I think, see, they were on the pitch, and I was watching the other day. I was watching the interview that Joe and Colton had with Deck on the pitch when we'd won the cup. And
it's real.
Yeah, it is real. It is real. It's
genuine. And you know what? What I like about, if we talk about off the pitch, Joe Cole, his football knowledge is second to none.
Yeah,
he sees things that we're all thinking. He's saying what we're thinking, or he says things. We go, God, that's a great point of view, and that just goes to show what a clever footballing mind he's got on the pitch. You know, and he portrays it, the way he holds himself, the way he presents himself. I think he just loses class, as a good East London boy, West Ham boy,
Yeah, West Ham boy from the academy from 9, joined the academy at 9. And he was in my 11. He was in my 11. Joe was.
He was,
bless him. Yeah, Joe was.
Yeah.
And if anyone, keep it on the channel, people. That's all I say. Anyway, let's move on from Joe Cole. Who's on the right wing? Who's on the right wing?
Who's on the right? It's a difficult one. This one. My heart is saying Trevor Brooking.
Yeah.
But he was just a little bit before my time again. I just caught him. I think he might have stopped in 84 and I was at that age, like it was just a little bit before my time. We actually opened a shop with. I was all in the West Ham kit. He opened I was his like mascot for the day, opening a shop up. Remember the old Comet shops where they used to do the what do you call it? The washing machines and all that. We opened the shop that day. That was 1985. But so my heart says him, but I'm trying to fit in that midfield. So probably that midfield has got to be. I would go Mark Noble.
Yeah, throw Mark in.
I'd throw Mark Noble in his earlier, maybe his more youthful days.
More youthful days, he was. I think a few games. He actually, probably, in the early days, he could get him where he could, wouldn't it? Really. And so now he's and what an ambassador of the club.
What a lovely human being again. What a great ambassador. What a great front man. What a great role model for so many people coming through. Like, there's so many things I like about that bloke on and off the pitch as well.
He just oozes class, doesn't he? I think he's when you talk about footballers, you tend to talk about, I'd say, the in the old days, but sort of beforehand, you'd have all, they were all very classy players and they dressed well. I mean, you spoke about Bobby Moore, always immaculately presented, always, dressed to the nines. And even when, even like Hursty and Peters, you see pictures of them, always very, very smartly dressed. And Mark's a throwback to that. He's always immaculately dressed. He's always just, you never hair out of place.
If you take what I've noticed, if you took Mark Noble out of the equation, if he got signed 6-7 years ago, Who'd be flying the flag for West Ham? Who'd be making the bond between our players and between the owners? Obviously, there's a lot of friction between the fans and the owners over the periods, but the bond what I'm seeing now is another level, and it's down to Mark Noble.
Yeah, it's no surprise, Dodge, that our form last season was shit and took a rise come January when Mark Noble came in.
Yeah,
he was in the dugout. What sporting director sits in the dugout during the games? What sporting director was the under 18 FA Youth Cup final when we was at Arsenal? When we was at Emirates, there's 5,000 of us there. He was there like next to Kevin Keane, literally throwing come on boys, he was there, and that doesn't that exudes someone who loves the club inside out.
Agree. Well, it passes down respect and discipline and history.
Yeah,
it's passing history down, and it's a shame because he passed the history down to Deck. But now Declan's gone, and which is a shame. But it's great business from West Ham. I get it, but yeah, he uses class. And what a title to have, sporting director for West Ham.
Yeah,
that's like the best title anyone could ever have in the world, right? And what I like about him, he gets on the piss with the lads afterwards.
What I love about him as well is, and we've had, so true. What I love about him is, again, he was dishing out the beers, wasn't he, in the changing room at the end for Fiorentina. What I love was we've had lots of Kevin Keane, a lot of the coaches as well, obviously ex-players as well, but like Mark Phillips and Mark Robson and people like that. They talk about Mark. Mark is at that training. He's at Chadwell Heath every day. Yeah. And he's every day talking to. He knows all the players' names. Yeah. He knows. Sometimes he puts his boots on and will play. We'll take a training session. We'll sit in the training session. And as a kid, that's what that to me is what you want. You want to see your players, and it harks back to we had when we had Stuart Slater on the channel ages ago. He spoke about.
I enjoyed watching Stuart Slater play.
Oh, amazing player! But when he was 14, when West Ham were trying to sign him, Ray Stewart was at all of his youth team games.
Okay.
And he's like, and so for Slates, he was like fucking hell, I've got a West Ham first teamer who's here watching me.
Yeah.
They must really love me. And it's the same as Noble now. And an absolute diamond of a man.
He's a role model.
He is.
There's not many role models you can say a role model. He's like a one-man club, one club man, like a role model. He ticks all the boxes of if you had a son growing up, having a role model like that in the professional era we're in, where money and greed takes over. And he didn't get caught up in that.
No.
There's huge respect for that. And the reason and the beauty of what he didn't get caught up in that, now he's prospering because of all of that he's stuck with West Ham, his club through and through, and he'll be there like Trevor Brooking will be there till the day he pops his clogs. You know what I mean?
It's like that picture epitomizes me, my love of Mark Noble. The way he just stands there, arms crossed. He's just like so proud every time he put on the shirt, and I love him. Okay, so we've got Coley, we've got Nobes, we've got two more spots in this midfield. Who are we squeezing in next? Then Dodge.
Goes without saying, right?
Shall I put Edouard Cisse in now or what? I don't know where that
name. No,
that's up front. That's up front.
For me, Declan Rice, no brainer. For so many reasons, and again, off the pitch, good human being, humble, kind, thoughtful, gives time for people, signs signatures, a proper role model. But where's that come from? It's come from Mark Noble.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's going through. I'd love to have seen Declan Rice stay for life. If someone offered him 300 grand a week for life, obviously you can't do that. Well, I guess you could do that, but yeah. But massive respect to him. And like I was saying earlier, the respect he gave the West Ham fans before he was leaving. Even when he was interviewed, what club would you go to? Listen, I'm a West Ham player. Leave me alone. I'm a West Ham through and through. When it happens, it happens. But I'm a West Ham through and through. And I was interested in when kissing the bears on. Then I watched him play Arsenal. I don't know if you saw when they won that first cup at Wembley. I can't remember, some pony cup. And he won it for Arsenal. And he's been interviewed afterwards. him being interviewed for West Ham winning a cup versus him being interviewed winning a cup for Arsenal was very, very different.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. He was like, it's great to win a cup.
It was almost like a job. The way he was interviewed then, it was almost like it was a job. You know, it was it was a career rather than necessarily love. And he became a West Ham fan because of the love they showed. And it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we do play Arsenal in the 1st November.
I can't wait for that.
I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, to be fair, the club have done well in terms of pricing it as well. You know, I think we've
how much?
It's not kids for a quid, but I think it's kids for a £5 or something like that. You know, it goes up obviously, but still, I think even the top ones, like, it's not ridiculous money at all. And
you can't get a pint of lager for a £5 these days.
Well, you can't. Not there. Not in London Stadium. It's like £6, isn't it? You know, you got to own a ticket to a match.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't think I don't think he'll play. I don't think he'll play for that game. But we'll see. We'll see.
I reckon if I was Deck, I'll be like, I want to play in this game. I have to play in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. He did say, he'd like to come back and say goodbye properly, because he never really actually said goodbye. You know, like, you hark back. We talk about Mark Noble. You know, obviously we had Mark when he retired. Obviously he was on the pitch. We had Ben there. Ben Shepherd was in the interview with him, and there was a shirt, and it was a proper goodbye.
Yeah.
Rice, I do think he feels like he still owes us to say goodbye properly, and I get that. I get that. Totally.
I'd love to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, I'd love to give him a clap. I'd love to give him. He's gonna. Doesn't matter what happens now in wherever trajectory his career takes. He's going to be in the same discussion in terms of West Ham captain as Billy Bonds and Bobby Moore, because all three of them have won stuff.
Yeah, agree.
Hopefully there'll be a few more. Hopefully Kurt Zuma's going to be added to that this year.
Wait, 6 years, 7 years time, 8 years time, he'll be back at West Ham. A couple of seasons.
I think we'll do a Joe Cole. I think he'll come back. Yeah, like it feels like the story. It's like with Joe. He always felt like the story. He still had a chapter still to play. Yeah.
Agree.
Right. Okay. So we've got no.
I would love to do a farewell to Deck on that 1st of November, as long as we beat Arsenal.
As long as we win, yeah. As long as we win,
that'd be a beautiful farewell.
Yeah, do you know? He can even come on at half time and whatever if he's not playing, and have a clap. Because there'll be some people who'll be like boo, but there'll be a lot of people who will clap him. And I think there will be. I don't
think anyone will boo him.
I think there will be I wouldn't say loads, but there will be a little bit, because it just is. Some people are funny like that when someone leaves. I think the sort of the profile of a footballer who stay for 10 years is non-existent now. Mark Noble's the last of a breed. When we interviewed people like Tony Gale or whatever like that, I think Tony Gale was here for 11 years. 10 of those 11 were testimonial years for players. And so that was always par for the course. I think you've had 240 other appearances off Deck. I think he's played. He's won you a cup. I think he's been captain. He's won Ham of the Year 2-3 times. Not many people have done that. But there will be people who said, "Right, he's gone." So he's, some people are, it was always the way with Frank, weren't it? Every time Frank would come back, he'd get a little bit, big fat Frank. Where someone like Rio came back, he'd always get a really good clap, or someone like, or Tevez, or we've had loads of players who've played. And
Are you a fan? Are you a fan of Frank Lampard, or are you a booer when he comes back?
Do you know what I think Frank? For me, he was always. I mean, he's always been the pantomime villain between West Ham fans. Even when he was playing. I mean, you said Harry well. Obviously, Harry defended him. Well. Obviously, people thought he shouldn't have got into the side. It was nepotism, all that type of stuff. But I always thought he was a fantastic player. And for me, he's always, maybe. I think the trouble is when players leave, it's how they leave and what they say afterwards. Now, obviously, he was quoted in saying that West Ham were a pub team or whatever it was. And I think people, same as Paul Ince, same as Ince, Ince will never be welcomed into Upton Park, London Stadium. And it's
like him as a player, though.
Yeah, as a player. I mean, I thought,
Paul Ince went through my head when doing this squad. I was thinking, Paul Ince, God, he was fantastic. Do you know what? I interviewed a fella called Ambrose Mendy.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Mate, and did you see the story on him taking? He was Paul Ince's agent.
Yeah.
And he took Paul Ince up to Man United, and he jumped into the when they get the medical. Ambrose Mendy jumped into the bed pretending to be Paul Ince and passed the medical. Mate, have a listen to it on the podcast.
Brilliant.
Ambrose Mendy, mate, is a boxing promoter. He was boxing promoter, football agent. Yeah, mate, proper good story, that one.
Yeah. And I think there are certain players who leave and proverbially when they come back, they'll get booed. It's like Carlos Tevez. He's given a hero's welcome.
Yeah.
Really, if we're being honest, he only turned up for about 7 games.
Yeah.
Realistically, he was brilliant for and that kept us up. But the carpet gets rolled out to him. But I've always had that with Lampard because for me, when you talk about some, the legends of West Ham, you talk about Billy Bonds, talk about Bobby Moore. No one talks about Frank Lampard Sr. And actually, Frank Lampard Sr. had more going. After Billy, it's them Frank Lampard Sr. in terms of appearances.
Yeah.
But he never has that accolade.
Do you reckon that's because his son done a lot better, and the name Frank got overtaken by Frank Senior?
Yeah. Great. And I think also then there was the whole thing with there may be. No, I think it probably was because of Frank. Because of I reckon. I think the fact is because under Harry, him and Harry had a good thing. They did well. As a duo at West Ham, as a management duo. But I think it was the effect that Frank had with West Ham fans, Junior, meant that Senior, his legacy is which is awful because the man's won. There's a handful of people who have won multiple things at West Ham, and he's one of them. Yeah, same as several others who have won, two FA Cup medals. And Frank's one of them. And and it does really when people say the word legend and use the word legend, and I think it's so watered down now.
Yeah,
when there's a genuine legend who no one ever talks about. We've got to stand after Trevor Brooking. We've got to stand after Billy Bond. Billy Bond. Nothing for Frank. Not even a Gates.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something which I think is appalling, really. Anyway, it's off my soapbox. Right, so we've got 3 in the midfield. We need one more midfielder for that 4th. Who's going to be that 4th midfielder?
Are you going to go for another midfielder, are you?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
All right. I don't mind midfield. No, I was going to. The next one for me would be Paolo.
Oh, yeah, let's put Paolo. Yeah, let's move him about. We'll play three up top. Let's do it. That's what we try and get Moyes to do. Okay, we'll put Paolo there.
I like three up top. A bit more exciting.
We'll do that. That's it. Yeah, we all want that exciting football. We don't want all this Moyes ball 1.0, do we? We want Paolo. What a man,
mate! What a man! He was at the London Stadium the other week, wasn't he? Last week.
At the London Stadium the other week. We were at we did an event with him at the Brentwood Centre. Which was brilliant. Tony Cottee was comparing, and in my opinion, I think Tony was like, I know Tony quite, and the way he was trying to be more flamboyant because I think Paolo Di Canio was there. Yeah. He was singing like Tony was singing and stuff. It's like that doesn't work. He was trying to sing like all the Di Canios. It was a great night. He's someone who, again, a bit like Alvin Martin, maybe even more so. I sat there and I was in awe of him. I was listening to him. I was probably about, 10 rows back. Yeah. And he fucking loves the club.
Yeah.
Fucking loves the club, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not bullshit. Where some people go, catch the badge with the bollocks.
Yeah, agree.
He loves it. You can't fake
it. He was a Lazio and a Lazio Ultra, and he gets it. And Lazio and West Ham, I think they've got this, fairly similar club styles of England and Italy and what have you. And I went out there. Like, I loved Di Canio. I thought he was a genius. Yeah. And I loved it that he just didn't know what he was going to do next on the pitch, or whether he was going to do something stupid or just walk off crying or just like up and down. You didn't have a clue, but that was the exciting bit,
Loved him.
But yeah, I remember flying out to watch Lazio play, just to go and see him play when he left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Valentine's weekend. I took my missus to Rome. I said, come and go on Valentine's weekend.
Rome, lovely.
On the Saturday, I took her to England-Italy rugby. On the Sunday, I took her to a Lazio game.
Yeah. Brilliant. I'm sure she loved that.
Happy Valentine's, love.
Happy Valentine's Day, love. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but he's quality. What's he? 150 caps or 140 appearances or something?
100, yeah, something like that. Yeah, again, not massively, but until Antonio took over, he took over, the Premier League all-time goal scorer record for West Ham. Obviously, Antonio is that now, but yeah, he just like the love of the club, and it was brilliant. He just got up off his seat, and it was a warm day. It was like it's been a little bit warm at the moment. There was probably, I don't know, 800 or so 40-year-old men in there, so it was quite and they were like Bill. So Bill was there, and Bill Gardner was there, and there were some boys there as well.
Is he well? Is he Bill well?
He's all right. He's all right. Okay. Bless him. But yeah, so everyone was like, so it was a bit warm. Tony got it was streaming like sweat. He was really had his jacket off. Di Canio, not a bead of sweat on this man. He was like immaculately dressed. And at the end, he says, Paolo wants to say something. And he got up and started singing Bubbles. And it was like,
I've seen it on the thing, yeah.
Yeah. It's
special,
brilliant. And when we did it, we came on the pitch and we did
you better cry.
Yeah?
You better cry.
No.
I got you.
No. Just thinking about it. No, it was really sweet. It was a sweet moment. It's nice when you see players have the same passion for a club that you've got as a fan base, and doesn't happen very often for some players, but when it does, it just hits right. As I said, people like Di Canio, someone like Ginger Pele, some James Collins, he loves West Ham.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't sort of...
And we love him.
And we love him, yeah. And he gets reciprocated.
Harry was saying about Paolo, he's got loads of stories about Paolo, but he's saying he's the most professional footballer he's ever met. Down to the nutrition, down to the training, down to him flying in tackles, like training like he's playing. If he's playing 5-a-side or 3-a-side, he was getting like stuck in, and he'd be the last one to finish, the first one there, never late. Just immaculate diet, no ketchup, no. It was just, he took it sort of professionalism to another. Okay, he was a loose cannon as well, but that was the exciting part of him.
Yeah, but I think that's what people say now, because obviously at the moment people are talking about, obviously Paqueta's an amazing player, and they were saying, I was talking to someone guy today. He says, I don't like the theatrics. I don't like the fact he falls over. When that's all Di Canio did. That was part of Di Canio's shtick. It was the mamma mia. It was the and that's what you get with those types of plays. You get that theatrical, and I think that's part of the performance. That's what I love about it. I love the fact that we were talking the other day about that Bradford City 5-4 game where Di Canio's, and Di Canio spoke about it at the evening, and talking about it and saying, he was going to give the penalty, and Frank had missed one, and he wanted to be subbed off, and that just epitomised that Redknapp era, that 5-4 game. It's incredible.
Yeah. You know what I also noticed as well, Polo, and what good nick he's in.
Yeah. Oh,
great nick. I saw him the other day. I thought, mate, he's looked after himself, mate. He's still training. He's eating well. He looks
he still plays. Still does a lot of. I think he plays in I don't know if it's a professional, semi-professional walking football league in Italy.
Is that nice?
Yeah, so because someone I knew, or I met someone at like the event, and he knew the company that made Paolo's walking shirt, and got him a spare one, so he got him to sign it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's still doing that. Still wants to get back into the game as well. He reckons that David Moyes offered him a job, but I don't believe you as attacking coach.
Yeah.
All right, Paolo. Wait, I won't. I'll wait for that. Yeah, because Sunderland worked out so well. Swindon Villa. Oh dear, everyone would piss off after 5 minutes.
Just on that note, that just because it just reminded me about going to Lazio, and we went there. We were in the Lazio end in the Rome Stadium, and the fans are just like proper right wing, And I had my missus there. Like there was no women in there. So at half time, I was like, I think we've got to get out of here. It was probably naughty in there.
Sometimes some games in it where you get it when you go to London Stadium, and some days it's usually when there's a European side, and you just get that sort of tribalism, that old school tribalism in terms of the fact. Don't usually get it. I love the European games for that exact reason. Doesn't matter how many they bring. If they bring 200, 500, 50,
every fan steps up to another level, don't they?
Yeah, I love it. And then it's almost like a you and us type thing. Then and the atmosphere just builds. Right, so we've got Powell. We've got 2 more spots. Who's the next player?
For me, Frank McAvenny.
Oh, I love him.
Frank McAvenny. It's got to be 1 for the character, 2 for what he done, 3 West Ham. He loves the club again. And also looking at that shirt, I used to love that shirt as well.
Great shirt.
Adidas. Avco, lovely.
Some good. They had a good run, didn't they? That sort of the Ray Stewart shirt and the Avco shirt. I mean, that's the boys of '86 shirt, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So
look at that Barnett as well. He had the balls to dye his Barnett like that as well.
Yeah, I remember we interviewed someone, and they'd seen him make his debut for West Ham, and I think it was against or one of the early games. It was a pre-season at Orient, and someone thought he was Italian. Because they read the name Machiavelli, rather than, and he had this sort of blonde, Adonis-like hair, and they thought he was Italian. Yeah. But yeah, I love him.
He done well with the women, didn't he? And the partying.
Yes.
And kept up banging in goals as well.
Some of the stories he tells you is and it's brilliant. Absolutely.
You know what?
Brilliant.
Now we're talking about. I'd love to get Frank on the podcast.
It'd be good. He's good. He's good value. He's good value.
Up in Scotland, is he?
Yeah, up in Scotland. Yeah, he's good values. But what I like about Macca is, I remember he's friend of the channel. He's one of the friends of the channel. Yeah. And Macca, I remember having him and David Cross on to do some charity thing, and it's all sort of these things live, and it all fell through, and it was just all. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna let you two just talk.
Yeah.
So I sat back live and just let them two, and it was like cannon and ball. It was like it's like just bouncing off each other, stories, jokes, all absolutely brilliant. Frankie's amazing. I love him. He's such a nice guy as well. And
he had like VIP gold card at Stringfellas, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, and and obviously
piss.
I love him, and he always helps out. If we need him to do a little bit or whatever, he always does it. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah, love to get him on.
Yeah, Mac would be lovely, man. We'll chat afterwards. Right, let's get Frank. And who's the last one? Who's the last one?
Last one for me is Jared Bowen.
Oh, nice.
He's for me. He could be West Ham for many, many years with Danny and living down here, and West Ham through and just had an England call up, and I just love his work rate off the ball. I love his work rate on the ball. I love he's aggressive as well, and he can header, he can shoot, he can pass, he's quick, he's got balance. I look at him as like this all-round little genius, and you can see why Liverpool and all the big clubs will be sniffing around him. But the quicker we can lock him down to a 5-yearer, I'd even offer him a 7-yearer or something outrageous, like just lock him in. He's got a couple of kids, a couple of bin lids on the way, like get him into schools down there, guarantee us 4, 5, 6. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good point. I've always said with him, and also with Jared, it's like, there's no threat of him ever going Tottenham.
No.
Because could you imagine Christmas dinner around the Dyer household? He wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have it.
Any London club.
Yeah, he wouldn't do a Declan Rice.
No.
He's such a. I just think he seems a really nice guy as well. He loves the club. He loves West Ham.
Yeah, he does love the club. Yeah,
and
he's a homeboy. He's a home. Yeah. You can tell he's been brought up well. He's had a nice upbringing. You can tell that he's a humble, nice fellow, and he's proud to wear the shirt. And it's not just the bullshit. Yeah, I'm proud to wear the shirt. He genuinely loves West Ham, like we all do, and we can sense that. Yeah,
he comes across so well all the time, and he interviews very well. Very humble man. He's just and as I said, because I think partly because he's come through the leagues. He started at Hereford United and worked his way up to the Premier League. And when you do that, you do get a sense of humbleness rather than you've come into the academy at Man City and you've got it all laid out for you. He's done the hard yards. He's done the hard graft, and at a relatively young age as well. And he's a great player. And
so he's been with us since 2020, I think.
Something like that,
130 odd appearances, I think, something like that. And you think he could be quite in your 400 appearances.
I mean, he easily. You look at how well he's. I mean, at the moment he's doing. You think can't remember how many goal contributions they call it now this season, but he's got to be on 8 or 9, I think, at least, if not 10. And so I think he's someone who could. I think the only issue, not the only issue with Bowen, but I think sometimes because. I mean, someone's asking me today about Hammer of the Year. Who's going to be your Hammer of the Year this year? And I reeled off 4 names, and he was one of the names. But he might, maybe because he doesn't do the theatrics or stuff, he might, someone like Lucas Paqueta might get ahead of him. Because it's like, it's almost like the kid at school, the one who's the pushy one who's always getting picked to be the star of the show. And I think he can be my only gripe at the moment about him is Moyes' insistence that he should be a centre forward, because he obviously played at Freiburg, he played up front, and I just don't think his best position is there. His best position is at the right. Balls up, crossfield balls. I mean, great. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's
got a great pass on him, and he's got great vision, and his speed. Those first 10 yards.
That's all you need, though, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. He ticks every box, and that's why I went for him. I was thinking a load of other players and stuff. You know what? I want to bring it to where we are today, and definitely for me, Jared Bowen.
I like that. Yeah, nice, mate. See, we can do 4-3-3. We can do that. There we go. No, great. Love it. No, nice mix. You got sort of like the early days of the Stewarts and Alvins and McAvenis, and you sort of got sort of the 90s. You got Dick's era and Coley, and then you've got sort of the modern and DeCanyon, and you got sort of the Noble sort of mid 2000s with Noble, and then Rice, and then obviously Bowen brought up to now. Very nice, Dodge. Well done,
very
my friend.
Nice old boy. Very
nice old chap. Very nice. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't believe it's been an hour and 10 minutes. It's flown by.
No, it's been.
That's like, see, that's I told you about a stream. I thought it
was about half hour. That was good.
Time flies when you talk about West Ham. Time flies. As I said, please don't forget to check out Eventful Lives podcast. We'll put a link in the description. It's absolutely chef's kiss. It's great fun. I love it. So I like, sometimes it's just nice to watch something which is just 2 people talking.
Yeah.
No fucking about, sometimes it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's great because you can sit there and listen to it, and it's just, I absolutely, I think it's brilliant, mate. And it's
thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
It's great, man. And as I said, don't forget, everyone else, don't forget to subscribe, like, all that stuff. And well, you get bored of saying it after a while, don't you? Everyone knows about you or doesn't know about you, innit? And we'll be back with some more Miami's 11s coming up very, very shortly, and everything coming up for the Newcastle game as well. Loads of stuff coming up for the Newcastle game. I'll be doing match day morning outside London Stadium on Sunday morning. And for myself and from Dodge, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble.
Russ, thanks for the invite, mate. I thoroughly enjoyed that. You've got a really nice channel here, mate.
Take care, mate. See you, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers.